Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I would like to run through some mono red on the Mythic ladder to see specifically how this is going to perform. This is my preferred iteration of mono red. Of course, I have a red connoisseur. This is my favorite color in Magic. I love red. I love green. I like playing black as well. Um, so on the Mythic ladder, there's been an explosion of a fair amount of mono red. Not well, I should say on the best of one ladder. On the Mythic ladder, you start to see a little bit more variety, but still, this is a popular deck nonetheless. I also think it's quite good. One of the better options if you want fast wins, maybe not the most consistent wins. I do think you're going to lose a lot of matchups to mono blue and mono black and mono white life gain. Mono white soldiers and Azoria soldiers, you certainly have some game against. A lot of that depends on who's on the play. But mono black and mono blue, especially, are going to be very difficult. Grixis is also a little rough for you, depending on if you're on the play or not. But with those decks, the black based decks, if you can dodge a turn one cut down, you're somewhat favored to win the game, actually. So it really just depends on your draw, their draw, but they are kind of reliant on having that turn one cut down to really beat you. Mono blue, of course, doesn't pack cut down, but they are reliant on having a fading hope. So currently our rank is not great. So we were rank 28 on the ladder. We fell to 97% through decay. I did not play arena for close to 2 weeks. And then I just made a video going through mono blue to see how it was performing on the Mythic ladder. Played up against nothing but Lilianas and got destroyed. Hoping that mono red is now able to play a little bit better. So let's go ahead and get into it with mono red then, and we'll see how it performs. So we have our standard one drops here. We are in on the 4 play with fire. I think this is awesome. It's going to do things like get rid of those pesky 2 drops. The Misery Shadow can also hit the Evolve Sleepers. It's going to hit the Tenacious Underdogs. It's going to hit the Blood Tithe Harvesters. It can also just go to their face and potentially scry you into another burn spell or haste creature for the finishing amount of damage. Everything in this deck has haste or deals damage directly. That's why I very much enjoy playing this type of list. It's extraordinarily fast. We have a single Sokenzen, and we are running actually a little land heavy here at 23 because we do cap out at 4 drop here, and we have 4 of those. It's very important we hit our land drops. We're not playing any of the cards to draw or anything like that. So we have to be sure that our cards are dealing consistent damage and hitting our land drops. We have a few flex slots here. We have a Feldon at 2 mana. We have a Shivan Devastator as a mana sink. Shivan Devastator actually comes in clutch a lot. And then we have an Obliterating Bolt. So those are like your 3 flex slots. You're playing up against a lot of Shieldred, a lot of mono black. You can change this out for a Rending Flame if you prefer, although that does add to your 3 drops, so you're a little heavy, so you may want to adjust that accordingly. Although I would probably cut a Squee if you wanted to have a Rending Flame, and then you can choose another card for your flex slot. But currently this is what I'm operating with. I find that I can get around Shieldred for a turn. If I don't win on that following turn, I probably lose, but that's just the nature of the matchup. I'd rather have the Obliterating Bolt. I think it gives me more game into other matchups, and it kills the Jin out of mono blue. But okay, this is the deck. It's really fun. It's really fast. It's been pretty consistent for me so far, so let's go ahead and get it into some games. Notably, we're not playing Mechanized Warfare in this list. I think Mechanized Warfare is a little slow, although Mechanized Warfare is going to be favored into the Mirror matchup and the Soldiers matchup. Feels so good to play in the festivities and just wipe their board. Crazy. Okay, so here we have a pretty good hand. We're probably going to play a Bloodthirsty Adversary on turn 2. Especially if they play a swamp. Yeah. So this is like the combo right here. Is play Bloodthirsty Adversary. It's a 3. It enters with a counter on it, so it's a 3/3. Dodge the cut down, so they can't play cut down. And now we have a Play with Fire to kill their 2-mana threat that's going to try to trade with this. So when they play Tenacious Underdog on turn 2, we can play Swift Spear and Play with Fire, and we don't care if we draw the 3rd land. Alright, so opponent's probably packing another removal spell of some kind. So I could just go ahead and play the Bloodthirsty Adversary. That's in fact probably what I'm going to do. So I can double spell, play Adversary and Swift Spear. I could just go for the Squee. So if our opponent does have a cut down though, that's pretty rough for the Squee, so maybe I want to bait that out. If you can double spell as well, you probably should. So next turn they play Underdog. And then what? Not really much I can do about the Underdog, although my adversary will still get through if they don't want to trade for it. So I have a couple different ways I can double spell here. Probably just developing the board. I don't think I'm getting to 5 mana this turn to cast this. And it's probably not that great to have. I mean, it's fine to recast the Play with Fire, but... Okay, so they do have an Infernal Grasp. They are going to take a pretty substantial amount of damage here. Now, the downside to this is once they play their Graveyard Trespasser, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. In fact, we're probably going to have to discard here. So the Squee's not great, so I am going to just play like this, swing out, and we'll have to discard Squee. Okay, so we'll not be able to attack through that. They play a Shieldred here, it's probably going to be game. Not necessarily game. I could just draw a Lightning Strike off the top and win. Raiju. Okay. So, let's do some math here. So we can Raiju attack, put the counter on itself. We swing out with everything. They block Bloodthirsty Adversary, gain 3 up to 7, take 4, 5, down to 2, and we're down a creature though. I can put the counter onto Adversary, they take a point down to 3, block the Raiju, trade, goes to 6, then he takes 4 down to 2, and we have 2 creatures to none, and we can cast Squee on the following turn. Alternatively, okay, so if they block Swift Spear, they die in that scenario, though. So I think we do swing with everything. We put the counter here. I think they have to trade with Raiju. They go down to 2. You can play Squee on the following turn. And now they're also dead to a Play with Fire. Not too concerned with that. Okay. And yeah, so we just play Squee and then we win. Okay, cool. Wow, so that one was actually looking a little shaky there. Fortunately for us, they did not have the Shieldred though. Yeah, you know, I think that match kind of came down to anybody's game. That was relatively fun, I think. And see, you know, that's the threat of just having everything in the deck just deal damage immediately, or having haste. Unless you draw a land, your card is going to do something. Get into game number 2 here. Okay, we're on the play, so it's not like, not an insane opening hand, but it's something that you keep. We have a turn 1 creature that has evasion. Also recurring threat. We have 2 recurring threats technically. We have some fixing here, so I think we're fine. Or filtering here, I should say. Okay, so fortunately we drew the Kamano a bit turn too late there, but it doesn't mean it's not a great card. The good part about this is we can play Squee with the counter next turn potentially and then dodge a cut down. But we are going to get hit by Make Disappear though. So hopefully they can... I highly doubt they make disappear the Play with Fire. I kind of... It's hard to determine if I should keep this or not. I think I do. And it's not great, but we're going to get... if they don't have a Make Disappear here, I think we probably just win. I guess they could have like an... any of the 2 mana removal spells, but it gets around a cut down, so they'll have like an Infernal Grasp or something like that. I go for the throat. If we draw land, we can just slam Raiju. Alright, okay, so hopefully our opponent's actually mana screwed here. Of course, I mean, if they have to Impulse on turn 2, it most certainly does mean they're mana screwed. So they'll certainly find a land here, though. And it is a basic swamp, so they may have a cut down for our Kumano. But what we want to do then, since we did draw our land, fortunately, we want to put the counter on a Phoenix Chick to encourage them to want to cut down that instead, because they definitely want to go for the Kumano. Okay, so no cut down. So our opponent will need a board wipe here. And I don't think Impulse is going to do it. I'm going to put a stop on my upkeep to Play with Fire. Try to fix my draw. But I don't believe our opponent can. Okay, and our opponent concedes. So our opponent did have an opportunity there. So if they had like a cut down into untap, have a removal spell for the Raiju, I think they have a chance at winning, but otherwise they fumbled on mana a bit and had to main phase their impulses. Okay, so far we are 2-0 with Haste Red, so let's just continue with the game. Against a no-name opponent. Alright, we're on the play. Hand is fine. Need to draw some lands though, but we have a Play with Fire to maybe help with that. You prowess threats, back to our spells, and we can even double spell on turn 2. Very important with Haste Red. Very important with red in general, but really want to be able to double spell as often as possible. So here we're actually just going to double spell creatures, develop our board a little bit. Not going to worry about upkeeping a Play with Fire, because they'll probably play something we want to kill. If they play the 2 mana double strike thing, we want to kill that as soon as possible. Okay, so land here is good. We may just want to use our spells here to get the prowess triggers and look for a land for a Raiju. And they're taking a very large chunk of damage here, to the point where Phoenix Chick is just a threat by itself, and if we draw land for Raiju, we should be able to win on this turn. Okay, and that is game number 3. So 3-0 with Haste Red. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of 1-drops. That's the power of the deck. All right, so we'll keep it going. 3-0 is not a bad start. So if we play 5 rounds, 3-2 certainly is respectable. If we lost both, I mean, that's a competitive deck. Although hopefully we can wrangle together a few more wins here. Okay, so we're not on the play, unfortunately. We do have 1 into 2 with interaction. If we draw lands, of course, we can cap out at Raiju. So our opponent is most likely on soldiers, Azorius soldiers. So we'll see. We'll just keep playing. They may have a Make Disappear here. If they want to go 2 for 2, it's whatever. Well, 1 for 1, but 2 mana for 2 mana. I'm not going to attack with Swift Spear here. So if they didn't make disappear the Bloodthirsty Adversary, that means that they are probably sitting on a what do you call it? It's the reinforcements. They're going to get 2 soldiers at instant speed. So I am just going to attack with the Adversary to trade with both of them. I'm not going to use a Swift Spear because then they'll kill it and they'll have a soldier left over. Timely reinforcements, is that it? Okay, sure. So they had to march to the otherworldly light, so it actually doesn't matter there anyway because my card was getting exiled. Keep casting 2-drops. So if you lose a game, this is how it happens. You get stuck on 2 lands, but you know, that's okay, that happens. So they are going to take the turn to use their Blast Zone. So if they take their turn to proc their Blast Zone on my Bloodthirsty Adversaries, it's not that bad. If I draw, especially if I draw a land here for Squee. So if I draw a land here for Squee, that's actually okay. That's still not that bad. Do find a Squee here. So I mean, you know, we do have Lightning Strike and another adversary in hand. That's potentially 6 points of damage right there. Our opponent will not be able to Blast Zone this for a while. So let's go ahead and ride you here. So if they want to use their mana to counter this, then they may not have interaction for Squee. Okay, and now they have a Make Disappear. Or a Syncopate for 1, sure. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put them to 6. And even if they Blast Zone here, we still have 2 soldiers. So I mean, it's not that crazy. That's 5 mana. That's what we need to essentially get 2 casts on Lightning Strike. So my plan is just to go to combat here. They have to... Okay, they're not Blast Zoning now, so I get an extra Goblin. And I have Lightning Strike. I see. So, Wandering Emperor.
Now you've done it.
Exile my Squee.
That's coming off.
Gain 2 life to 8. Take 3 to 5.
My judgment is final.
I think I'm just going to Obliterating Bolt this.
I guess that's
And we'll pass.
that.
We'll Lightning Strike end of turn. Untap. We will pay 3 mana for the adversary, for 5 mana for it to get the extra Lightning Strike, and hopefully that's enough. That's coming back to me. Let's go ahead and Lightning Strike our opponent. Okay, Dissipate's fine. Play our land. And their Blast Zone isn't going to do anything here either. I feel like they had opportunities to actually take advantage of Blast Zone that they did not. That's pretty complicated. Our opponent only has 1 card in hand. So I don't think they'll be able to get around this. Oh, okay. So this exiles it. That's right. Okay, so maybe they can get around this then. Okay, so yeah, I completely forgot that was a Dissipate. But our opponent only has a few cards in hand. Bankbuster's not going to do it. We have 3 tokens. Okay, so we are 4-0. Although I do feel like our opponent could have had more of a game against us there with that Blast Zone, but you know, not knowing specifically the order they drew their cards, it's hard to say. Okay, let's see if we can run it back with the 5-0 mono red. And we'll get everybody on their way. So, regardless though, 4-1 is going to be a respectable record even if we do end up losing this game. We'll see what the matchup is though. So that actually ended up not being Azorius Control. or not Azorius soldiers, end up being Azorius control, which is very interesting. So here, we don't have a 1-drop. We do have a Play with Fire, though, a Bloodthirsty Adversary, a Felden. We have a Lightning Strike. You know, it's one of those hands where you're like, I don't really want to keep this, but I think you kind of have to. So if our opponent doesn't do anything on 1, we're just going to launch the Play with Fire now. We'll bottom the land because we have 2. Raiju's a fine draw. So we want our Bloodthirsty Adversary, and unfortunately our opponent has a cut down for the Felden. And this is looking like a mono black victory most likely. They'll follow this up with a Tenacious Underdog, or they won't. So we'll play this as a land, and everything has haste, so they're going to need more removal. But if they keep matching me 1-for-1 on removal, especially like that 1 mana for 3 mana, that's how they're going to definitely come back into this game. Okay, so there's the Graveyard Trespasser. So if we draw a land here, Raiju can actually get past that. Well, I can't cast nothing because then it gets, it flips to 4/4, so I do have to do this, unfortunately. I think it's probably better just to get rid of this other Lightning Strike. Okay, so notably, I will trade the 2-for-1 here. I think they take it. They choose not to. So I guess if they just attack with Misery Shadow, they can get a substantial amount of damage in 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah. So now they just ate me here. All right. Well, if I'm going to draw anything, you know, drawing a Play with Fire for the Misery Shadow is pretty good. I'm not going to cast the Adversary. I would like to be able to put a counter on this, Lightning Strike the Knight, but the Sheoldred will probably wrap this up for them. And of course, since Tenacious Underdog is a recurring threat, I don't want to kill that one. I'll go ahead and kill the Knight. But I do not believe there's a way we're winning this game. And we'll just go ahead and take our loss. Through lands anyway. Okay. So very interesting set of games here. Very quick games, as you can tell. If Mono Black has double cut down in their opening hand, there's nothing you can do about it. You just kind of need to take their beatings. When they go double cut down into Graveyard Trespasser, into other threats, into Sheoldred, you're just not going to win that game. Mono Black is a very versatile deck. If you do want to beat Mono Black consistently, playing a deck like Blue Black or Grixis is probably going to be the best way to do that. Otherwise, Mono Black's probably the most versatile on the best of one ladder. But okay, 4-1 is not a bad record at all. We actually had a lot of play in those games. We actually did get a win against Mono Black earlier in the video. However, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Give Mono Red a try. It's an incredibly fun deck with the Haste build. Thank you all so much for watching and have a wonderful day.